Hi everyone, it's Nancy Guppy. This episode of Art Zone that you are about to see was filmed a few weeks ago before the coronavirus pandemic really landed. So you're going to see people very close together. There's not that 6 feet of separation, and we don't even mention the word coronavirus because we really didn't know where it was going. That said, this show features some absolutely wonderful artists, and I think they're going to bring you a lot of joy. So enjoy.
Hi, I'm Greg Lundgren, and this week's episode of Art Zone is being filmed in my new art space, Museum of Museums. Stay tuned.
Hello, hello.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Nancy Guppy, and this week we are coming to you from Museum of Museums, aka MoM, a new, not yet open art space on Capitol Hill that is gonna knock your socks off. More in a moment. First though, here's what's coming up. The dreamy, immersive world of Neon Saltwater.
Welcome to my studio. This is where I make all of my rooms.
An up-and-coming filmmaker.
People call me the fat plant, but I'm just big boned.
Hi again, it's me, Greg Lundgren.
A MoM-centric events calendar. And fresh music from Sundae and Mr. Goessl.
Oh, darling, you better pack your things and go, darling.
We're going to kick things off with artist, curator, and arts entrepreneur, the man responsible for Museum of Museums, Mr. Greg Lundgren. Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks for coming.
And we're digging this place. Man, it is fantastic.
It's getting closer.
It's getting closer. Now, before diving into Museum of Museums, aka MoM, I want to give some context for you, for our audience to kind of know what you're about, because you do a lot of things. So, in 1995, you founded Vital 5 Productions.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, and that's kind of an umbrella organization for your myriad of projects.
Yes.
Which include Vito's, which is?
Vito's is a 1953 Italian restaurant and jazz club on First Hill.
Yep.
And we renovated it 10 years ago. And
You brought it back to life. That's a wonderful place. So The Hideout, which is a kind of a groovy hole-in-the-wall bar.
Yeah, it turns 15 on March 18th.
Wow.
So we're excited that it's been around so long.
Yeah, that's a long time
But
in
I
Seattle.
think we'll be there for another decade at least.
Excellent. Lundgren Monuments, glass headstones, urns.
I do that too.
Yeah, interesting. And you've written a couple of children's books about death as well.
2 children's books about death, yes.
You cover a lot of ground. And finally, during the first 3 Seattle art fairs, you curated Out of Sight, which was kind of a parallel exhibit of work by local artists.
Yeah, my concern was that regional artists were not getting the exposure that they should and deserve, and so I kind of took it upon myself to create a venue for that.
Greg Lundgren to the rescue. All right, so clearly you're no stranger to taking on very big challenges, which brings us to Museum of Museums, perhaps your biggest project yet. So, seems maybe. So what was the impetus for MoM?
I have been banging the drum and trying to start an art center in Seattle for a very long time. And for a large portion of that time, I was looking towards our multi-billionaires. I was looking towards people with big money to subsidize what I think Seattle deserves and needs to improve and grow our arts ecosystem. And after a while, and after all the letters that you write and projects that you start, you either give up or you design the art center that you can afford to do instead of waiting for the art center that you can't afford to do.
Yeah.
So MoM reflects the art center that I can barely afford to do.
Just right there.
Just yeah,
right there.
to the
and
dollar.
The name Museum of Museums, why that name?
I think that there's a couple of different true answers to it. I wish there were just one because it'd be easier.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a very literal term behind it, and that Museum of Museums does give shelter to other smaller museums. So we are harboring the Sean Cardinal Art Museum, we are harboring the Supperfield Museum of Contemporary Art, and MoM, or Museum of Museums, and a few other moments throughout the space.
So the building, like you said, it's owned still by Swedish Hospital. What was it before you got it?
For the last decade, it's been kind of a squatter's hotel. The windows were boarded up. There was 5 tons of trash that was left behind by people who were living in the building.
Right.
So it was in very rough shape.
Yeah.
I think it has a great kind of architectural history, but the 21st century was not kind to it.
During the demo, was there any point during the process, or how many times did you want to run away, screaming?
I enjoy renovation. I looked at this building almost like a stray dog that you found, and it was covered in fleas and hadn't had a bath. And so like that process of renovation is like taking something that really deserves to be cared for and kind of grooming it.
Yeah.
And so that part felt good. I think that was like the relationship that you have with a building is like fixing all the things that are derelict and miskept.
Bringing it back.
And bringing it back.
So there's obviously still work to do, but you're getting close, and soon every corner of MoM is going to be art activated. So let's get to that. Just walk us through the space.
Yeah, I think first off that MoM is an admission-based model, so we don't sell artwork here. We sell the experience of curating mostly non-commercial work. So there's a lot of different moments, and there's a lot of different spaces. The neat thing about this building is that it's like a labyrinth of rooms and hallways, and there's something around every corner.
Yes.
The top floor is called the True Space, which is designated for immersive installation and large-scale sculpture. It's 2,000 square feet, and it's dedicated to doing really ambitious, involved installations. Below that is the Malone Gallery, which is the same square footage, but designed for more traditional exhibition. Also 3 main exhibitions a year. Across from that is what we call the lobby, which contains 4 main moments. The Emergence Room, which is designated for showcasing art from kids age 6 to 16. I think it's very important to have a conversation about arts education, and you don't create great adult artists unless you're giving kids an opportunity and inspiration.
Absolutely.
We also have the Sean Cardinal Art Museum there. We have the Margaret Supperfield Museum there. We have MoM there.
Which is a bathroom.
Which is a bathroom.
And installations.
Yes,
art
it
space.
seems like a joke, but MoM is the Museum of Museums.
Oh, yes.
Or the Museum of MoM, and it showcases artwork that is made in, around, or about the museum.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But it's also the bathroom.
Also the bathroom. Yeah. Double meaning there.
Why just leave it a normal bathroom?
Why? Why would you do that? Now, what about the mail?
Oh, and then yes. I Mail MoM is a mail program that we're doing with Robert Zavrina and Amy Ellen Tressberger. They are enamored by the postal box that's right in front of our building. And so they are setting up a mail program. There's pencils and postcards that are stamped, and there's some prompt that might be write a postcard to Edith, who's having surgery at Swedish Hospital.
Not necessarily someone they know.
No, it's mostly to strangers, and
Gotcha.
it's like people that are incarcerated, people that that kind of could use a friend or use some engagement.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that program.
That's wonderful. Now let's go to next area down. Perhaps.
So next area. So then there's a few things. I mean, there's outdoor sculpture.
Yep.
There's Dylan Neuwirth that has a neon sculpture on our Broadway entrance. And Grace Lee Lawrence, who we're about to install a large-scale 3D printed sculpture of hers. That's at our Boylston entrance. There's Nikita Aries, who painted our front door. There's Rick Arluke, who created an installation in the entry on Boylston
That
as well.
little box kind of set
a
in.
little recessed diorama. And then as we work our way down, we go to the first floor, which is where we are now.
Yep.
And on the south side is our
Which
gift
is where
shop,
we are.
which is where we are now.
Yep.
The gift shop has some of the traditional normal things like our mom swag, so you can buy a coffee mug or a t-shirt or
Sure.
a tote bag. But it's grounded in this collection of 63 objects. And these 63 objects are presented on these tables that are almost like what you'd be in like a swap meet.
Yeah.
And the common denominator between all 63 objects is that they are all designed to bring joy to somebody who is staying in the hospital.
I love that. So that's the gift shop. And then behind us?
Behind us is the talk show, and it's probably a longer story than what we have time for, but the idea is that I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to get enough volunteers to manage the gift shop because to start with, it's going to be a volunteer-based operation. So I thought that if we could do something that people might raise their hand to participate in, that we'd have a better chance of having it staffed.
Right.
So we created what's called the Gift Shop Talk Show. And if you are a gift shop attendant, you're also a talk show host. And we worked with our new recent friend, Hunter Irvine, who is doing our first video installation here, to rig up a computer that with the press of a button, we could stream live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This whole project is build the stage and just kind of see who falls in the line.
See what happens.
And see what
so
happens.
now let's go over here is the theater.
So yes, to the north of the gift shop is the Charles Modede Theater, which is this kind of brings me a lot of joy. It's a 4-seat theater. It's largely designed for video projections, but I do love the idea of doing live theater for a 4-person audience.
That's great.
And then beyond that is what's called the kitchen. The kitchen has its own entrance to Broadway and is really designed to have different programming every day of the week. And then on the weekends we do art pop-ups, and that ranges from vintage clothing to fine art to kind of all different kinds of things.
How about the cabin?
Yeah, we created a little a little scene of a cabin, kind of like your uncle's cabin in the North Cascades.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just this cozy little place that seats 8. And behind it, we program this video that looks like the window
Nature.
of the cabin.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be nature, but it could be outer space, it could be underwater,
Sure.
it could
Just
be...
kind of set some stage.
I think that we'll
Set some
get all
tone.
sorts of strange
Yeah.
submissions for that.
And then there are the 2 bathrooms.
So there's 2 large bathrooms on the first floor, and it would have been impossible to ignore them or to leave them alone as just natural, normal bathrooms.
Of course.
So they are rotating art installations, and then between them is a mural that also changes every 6 months.
Okay, so those 3 things right there change every 6 months. Well, you know, what drives you to put so much time, energy, and resources into incredibly cool projects, but daunting projects?
I'm just a huge supporter and a huge advocate of what Seattle could become. I feel like we have all of these ingredients here. We have the community, we have the artists, we have enormous wealth, we have the technology. Like there's so many things that other cities don't have, but it's frustrating because we haven't combined them in the way that activates it the way that we could be. So I think that MoM is this experiment and this attempt to harness all of those things. I'm not saying that it's a sure thing or guarantee.
Nothing is.
Nothing is, but if I were to propose what part of the remedy would be, I think it would look a lot like MoM.
Well, I love it, and I'm just going to say it, I love you.
Well, I love
For everything you
too.
do. I absolutely love it. So Museum of Museums MoM is slated to open June 4th. Keep current with all things MoM on their website and on Instagram. Thank you so much, and stay with us because I know we have more to do with you later in the show. But up next is a story on Neon Saltwater, a visionary artist whose work will be featured in one of MoM's debut exhibit, which is called Energy Drink. Thank you, sir. Let's
Thank
toast, shall we?
Toast.
Voila, to MoM.
To MoM.
To Greg. Drinking our fake.
There's nothing in this glass.
Welcome to the world of Neon Saltwater. In these beautiful, pastel-colored, digitally created rooms, one can virtually hear the rustling sound of palm trees, and feel the relentless beat of an 80s soundtrack.
I make digital rooms in CGI, which is only part of what I do. And then I'm also an interior designer / installation artist. Neon Saltwater is a name that I came up with while making a playlist years ago. This playlist was music that inspired a lot of visual imagery. I shared the playlist with a friend who I had a very mysterious and kind of inspiring connection with, and so the project then became a conquest to try to express this intangible feeling in a visual way so that I could see it and I could share it with others. So my earliest influence that I can remember was seeing a music video that my dad was recording, and it was the first music video I'd ever seen. It was Hello Goodbye by the Beatles. I would say it was influential because it was the first time I was seeing multimedia being combined, which now is a huge part of my influence for Neon Saltwater, as music plays such a role in images that I want to create. I moved to Seattle to go to Cornish College of the Arts. I did the interior design program, and we studied how interior architecture affected people's moods and experiences. Looking back, I really think the foundation of Neon Saltwater was born when I was at Cornish. Welcome to my studio. This is where I make all of my rooms. I usually get started by just getting right into the program. I'll sometimes have a room in my head. Sometimes I'll be watching a movie or a TV show or listening to music, and all the rooms end up being driven by the emotion of whatever I'm experiencing. I definitely am constantly on the street observing architecture all the time, everywhere I go, and I'll often look at something and be like, oh, I want to go home and try to render that. It's usually just kind of mimicking details that I see out in the world. A few years ago, I did an installation at Glassbox where I completely took over the space. I put up custom wallpaper, had custom furniture built, and created 3 rooms within that space. I also did that Out of Sight a few years ago. I wish that more of my spaces could be built, and I get frustrated by the limitations and all the logistics that have to come together to build one of these spaces in real life. I think as long as it casts a shadow on these 2 benches,
Right.
that's what I want.
That's what I want. I want like an aura around this area.
So my installation at MoM is a collaboration with Brian Sanchez, who's an abstract painter and sculptor. Together we are entering each other's worlds and influencing each other's processes. So it is a 3D built-out installation. Parts of it are influenced by some of his paintings, while other parts are kind of obstructing the vacancy of my rooms.
We both like color, we both like space. Her work is very literal, my work is very abstract.
And just have vertical stripes.
See, I like that idea.
So here is a sneak peek of a part of the show. We've got these plants. Some of the leaves are right up against the glass. You can see the colors are really like blending together, and that's just something I've really been experimenting in my digital work lately that I'm excited to bring to life. So one thing a lot of people will say about my art is they'll notice that there's no people in them. A big emotion that I'm always trying to portray is this kind of euphoric and melancholy loneliness that feels both amazing and kind of sad at the same time. Of something being so beautiful, but no one is there to experience it with you. I'm kind of obsessed with that feeling, and I'm always trying to understand it, and so that's a major theme in my work.
As our tour comes to a close, we trust you've enjoyed this virtual dip into the color-saturated world of Neon Saltwater, where fruity rum drinks and orange blossom perfumed breezes are the currency of life itself.
Neon Saltwater continues to work on energy drink
The finished exhibit opens at MoM on Thursday, June 4th. In the meantime, check out more of her amazing work on Instagram and at neonsaltwater.com.
So hot. I have sulfur in my clouds. I know I'm the only known plant to contain life, but this just seems wrong.
Still no flag!
People call me the fat plant, but I'm just big boned. I am not a bot! This guy's dense.
They left me out. It's not fair.
Well, our musical guest is a sublime and beautifully dressed Sundae and Mr. Goessl, also Kate Voss, Jason Goessl. Hello, you two.
Hello, Nancy.
It's great to see you, and I know you're just going to be kind of supporting us, and yeah, which I love the way you're doing that. Now, you're both great musicians individually, and I know that you are a virtuoso guitar player. What kind of, how many genres does Mr. Goessl play?
Well,
like jazz,
yes,
obviously.
I would be hard-pressed to name a genre he doesn't play.
Right, surf,
Surf,
indie, Brazilian, you know. And then you, my dear, are a virtuoso vocalist. You studied with Greta Matassa, the great Greta Matassa,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And let's talk about a few of your awards. So you were named Earshot Jazz Vocalist of the Year in 2016, right? And you earned, this is my favorite actually, okay? You earned the title of Seattle Kobe Jazz Princess twice.
Yes.
2014, 2016. How did that happen?
Well, I entered the competition, and the grand prize winner is named the Queen, and she gets to go to Kobe, Japan, and there's a vocal exchange program.
Got it.
And both times I came runner-up, and they don't exactly say that you're the princess, but I just thought that's the logical title.
It's
So
absolutely the logical title.
Yes.
Do you ever wear a crown?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, you would pull that off beautifully.
Thank you.
And then the two of you, which we just talked about, and I didn't know this, you were named Best Jazz Actor 2017 from Seattle Weekly. So the takeaway of all these awards, all these accolades, is that they're really, really good. That's the upshot. How did you come up with the concept of Sundae and Mr. Goessl? Because it's a real interesting act. It's not just music.
Yes, you are correct. Well, I actually saw Mr. Goessl play guitar several years ago, and I ran into him at a party, and I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, would you like to play music with me sometime?" Yeah. He gave me a big smile, said yes,
indeed.
And we started playing music together, and it just kind of melded in. We realized that our favorite genre was the jazz and pop tunes from the 1930s, very specific. And so we just started working on that music. We had maybe 5 shows. This was in 2013, that whole year. And then it just kind of took on a life of its own. We became a couple. We started, working on a lot of musical things. We brought in the melodica and started telling jokes and all these things. And so every subsequent year we've added maybe 100 more shows. So now we're up to about 250 to 300 shows a year.
And you're touring right now. You're living in your 30, how big is it? 30?
It's a 30-foot motorhome.
30-foot motorhome, and you're touring. You've been on the road for like 2 years, and this is what you do,
Yes.
Right. Well, it's obviously paying off beautifully. You have your 6th album just came out. Mr. Goessl, please, may we see it?
Yes.
So it's fun and fancy, and we have the vinyl, and I believe there's a CD as well. So you're gonna play us a couple songs off of the new album.
Yes.
And what are we going to hear first?
We're going to hear Darlene first.
Which I believe is the hit single.
Oh, it better be. I hope it is.
I say it is.
Okay.
And if we say to Art Zone, it is real. So are you ready to do this thing?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. I'm keeping this.
Darling, oh darling. know you can't stay one more night, darling. Well, every time you say you're sorry, well, then you sweep me off my feet. Then you go, and when I try to call, your phone just rings and rings, darling. Ooh, darling. Okay, I'll give you one more chance, my sweet darling. So mean to me, falling for those eyes, darling. Well, every time you say you're sorry, oh, then you sweep me off my feet. But then you go, and when I try to call, your phone just rings and rings, darling. Oh, darling, I'm just a fool for you, my sweet darling. No, my sweet darling, you're my sweet darling.
Get your copy of Fun and Fancy from the Sundae and Mr. Goessl website, from your favorite online store, or buy it live in person at Easy Street Records in West Seattle. Also, this talented duo is embarking on a national tour. More information is at funandfancymusic.com.
Hi again, it's me, Greg Lundgren, and I want to highlight a few MoM events happening in 2020 that you don't want to miss. On Thursday, June 4th, Energy Drink, an installation by Neon Saltwater and Brian Sanchez, opens in the True Space, and in Crystallized Time, a group exhibition curated by Anthony White, opens in the Malone Gallery. 2 more shows open on Thursday, October 1st. The Word of the Future, an installation by Jake Fennell and Riley Donovan, and Good Witch, Bad Witch, a group exhibition curated by myself and the Hood Witch. On Friday, July 24th, we're throwing a Seattle Art Fair party with a special installation by Space Filler. And our first ever Winter Ball at MoM happens Friday, December 18th. Finally, our regular monthly events include Mall with MoM, first Saturdays, MoM and Pop-Up Art Market, third Saturdays, and Celebrity Still Life, every first Wednesday. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The full schedule of MoM exhibits, activities, and events can be found on our website. See you soon.
And that is a wrap. Big thanks to Greg and Museum of Museums for hosting us. This place is such a great addition to the local art landscape, and you'll be able to experience it for yourself. It opens officially on June 4th. So thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great week. And even though it doesn't open to June 4th, guess what does open right now? The bar. So let's see here. I think that T-Bone, he wanted a liquid snake, which is basically vodka. Yeah. Kate is, oh God, Kate and her, what is it again? The Mississippi Mangler. She likes kind of a big pour. That's Kate, our producer. See, what is Vince? Oh, Vince, oh my God. Vince loves the angel feathers. Really fits his personality.
Your chance on what would be a fine romance. Last night was the last time you say goodbye.